Shalom, this is Levi Shore. Welcome back to Speaking of Torah. We got Rabbi Mordechai Darvish of the Gates of Mordecai. If you like it, please help us out. Like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. Today, we want to hear your comments, and we're going to get a lot of them today, I'm sure. We're going to talk a little bit about the debate last night, Trump and Biden. We're going to talk about who wasn't on stage, and we're going to see some comments from him. RFK Jr., Robert F. Kennedy Jr., not on the stage last night. We're going to talk about also a little bit of difference. What's Mashiach going to be like? How's that going to be different from these Western presidents and prime ministers? All right, let's. You want to give me any initial impressions of the debate, or you want me to frame some stuff, or what do you want to do?
It was a joke, a show.
Okay.
It didn't seem like a real conversation.
All right, that's interesting. So you know what? So it's interesting you're saying that. Let me bring up this first clip here. And this is RFK Jr.'s comments. And let's just play this, and then we'll comment on it. I think it was pretty interesting. So let's just take a listen to this.
70% of the American public say they don't want this contest because neither of them are running on the things that are absolutely critical to Americans right now.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was clearly left out of the CNN debate, but was involved in his own self-titled real debate tonight on X. Let's bring in the independent candidate for president, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Mr. Kennedy, thank you for coming on the show. We very much appreciate it. We're going to get to the debate that you held tonight. In fact, our old buddy John Stossel was the moderator of that debate on X, and there was reportedly a significant audience. What did you think about the debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump tonight as you were watching it?
I mean, I thought it was troubling, Trey, and thanks for having me back on your show. We have 341 million Americans in this country. We have, extraordinary people. And to think that this is what the Democratic and Republican Party are offering us, and the vitriol, the anger, the finger pointing, the dishonesty on both sides. We want to be the moral authority around the world. We want to produce the greatest leadership. We want to show that we're an exemplary nation, that we're the example, the template for democracy, and tell all the rest of the world why democracy is so great, because the cream rises. And it's hard to look at that debate and make that case. And then the other problem with it is they weren't talking about anything that any of the issues that are, I think, that I'm seeing Americans concerned with. A $34 trillion debt that is existential. Within 5 years, 50 cents out of every dollar we collect in taxes is going to go to that debt. Unraveling the corrupt merger of state and corporate power. The chronic disease epidemic, which now affects 60% of our children. Mm-hmm. This toxic polarization that is tearing our country apart. All of these things, nobody asked about. How are we going to end those things? How are we going to get our kids into houses? We have a whole generation of kids.
Now, let's pause it for a second there. Yeah, I think it's interesting. So we'll set it up a little bit. Talking about the historical nature of all this, we have the current president, Joe Biden. We have the former president, Donald Trump. Now, who was left off the stage last night was Robert Kennedy Jr., whose uncle was, president, JFK, John F. Kennedy, and his father was on his way in the Democratic primary in 1968 of becoming the Democratic candidate. And this is a very strange thing that people don't talk about a lot, but RFK was assassinated by Sirhan, a Palestinian terrorist. And it doesn't seem like there's a lot of interest in American history of why did a Palestinian terrorist kill the Democratic nominee? So it's a lot of strange stuff. We'll talk more on the debate, but I think this goes to a little bit of what you're saying. I think there is a portion of the country that is kind of disgusted with both parties. I'll give you my political biases. You can give them yours if you want, but right now I am a registered Democrat in the state of Maryland. I was Republican. I switched over recently because my parents were worried that since this is such a blue state, Maryland's such a blue state, and the Democrats seem to be taking out political retribution, against, those that are against them politically. They thought it was better in this deep blue state to be registered Democrat right now. I did grow up very liberal, very, Jewish liberal like everyone else. I think when I was in Israel for 6 years during the second Intifada, just to see what was really happening in Israel and the way the media was covering it, it was during the George W. Bush administration, I became very disenchanted. I'd say now I'm kind of really disenchanted with both parties. I, I really, if I had to pick, I'd be a Mashiach, Mashiach now person. Let's have Mashiach. Let's have the coming of the Messiah. Do you want to go into your, which way you're leaning politically, or?
I'm honestly, I'm not leaning anywhere politically. I'm a very basic person. Like, what do the ends justify the means? What are the means to to get to where the ends are and all that stuff? Like, listen, what is the president supposed to do? What am I voting for exactly? What am I picking? Am I picking a person who can function to do the job? What is the job title? What is the job description? What do they need to do? And then I can match up the candidate or the prospective employee to the job title. And when I don't have either of those, then it just became a game. The game, who do you like more, right? Like it was in high school or in the middle school when you picked the school vice president, the school president. Like what was the criterion? Like, what are they going to do, and what's the criterion that I'm judging them on? Or is it just like, who do you like more? Who's your best friend? Who's the best connected? Who's who's the most popular? And that's what it's become. It's become like this show, the show of which side you're on. A team sport. My guy said the right things. My guy's better. Your guy stinks. Your guy said this. And they got into it a little bit of that. A little name calling, a little taking jabs at each other, and it's just silly. The points that the moderators were going through were just like bullet points. They talked about them very succinctly, just bullet points, just enough to say a blurb about it, and that's it. There was no nuance. There was no like development of thought or anything like that. There was no policy. It's like, this guy, I did this, you did that. It became like a game of gotcha. Who got one over on the other? And I don't know. I think most of America feels the same way, but they don't know what to do about it. You know what I mean? We're just presented with what is, and we don't know how to fix the problem that's currently unfolding.
Yeah, I mean, let me see. So, Brad, I think like you're saying before, it is scary how much it really is like a high school election. Like high school, whoever's popular, whoever gives really the best speech, whoever gives in my school is like whoever gave the funny speech, they get elected. Yeah. And unfortunately, this is kind of a lot like that. Like, I mean, Reagan, I think, against Carter.
It's 100% that. It's 100%.
Yeah, it's 100%.
Are the people are people in the street arguing like, we should do this, we should do that, we should? I think this is more better. I think this idea is better. They're not arguing ideas. They're arguing personalities.
Oh, it's who's got the best line. Like I remember, like Reagan was like, "There you go again." Like he said that to Carter. And then the famous joke he said to Mondale, he's like, I will not hold the relative youth and inexperience of my opponent against him. And Mondale's even laughing. And then I think like with Barack Obama, even though I didn't like him as a candidate, he said to Mitt Romney, the 1980s is calling, for its policy back, its foreign policy back. And I think that was a good zinger for Obama, even though personally I think he was very wrong in his foreign policy. And I find it hilarious now that Obama was saying like, oh, the Soviet Union, Russia is old news, where they built this whole like narrative against Trump that he's a Russian spy. And now Putin is like their number one enemy. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know like what my number one issue is so much. I think one thing I've seen over the years, when it was Clinton and Trump, that was 2016. I honestly, where I was at is I wasn't going to vote for anyone. I was really disgusted with Trump, with the grab him by the pea comment. I mean, I knew it was released just to hurt him.
Why?
Because it was just crude. It's like this man was like,
who cares? Who cares?
Let me finish.
What does it have to do with the job?
Okay, you can give your opinion. Okay, let me finish. Okay, so I didn't think it was like, I didn't think this is the morality of a leader, but Then, and I don't think a lot of people looked at this. I looked at the WikiLeaks, the Hillary Clinton emails, and the John Podesta emails, and they seem to be extremely morally corrupt and politically corrupt. And I was like, these people cannot run this country. So my initial vote for Trump was not, oh, I love this guy, or I mean, it was like I honestly I was never a big fan of The Apprentice. My parents made me read Art of the Deal when I was younger. It's like, he was always like flashy, the yuppie thing in the 1980s, like the Gaiva, the arrogance. So he wasn't my number one pick. But I was like, these other people, I mean, I saw them as very corrupt. I was like, they cannot come to power. Then I was surprised. I was very surprised, like him moving the embassy to Jerusalem. I was surprised him declaring the Golan Heights part of Israel. I was surprised with him taking out ISIS and getting rid of Soleimani. And I saw some of his policy decisions were pretty good. I thought the economy was better under him. A lot of it was like infantile, his like ego nonsense, which I didn't love. That was, but then when we got to 2020, the whole COVID thing I thought was very, very dangerous, deceptive, disgusting. I mean, the thing came from a lab, it came from a bioweapons lab in Wuhan. There was a doctor who was in charge of the program. They were originally doing research on University of North Carolina. There's a doctor, I think Shi Zhangli. There's medical reports published about it, and the deception of the media during the Trump administration, all the games, the spying on him by the Obama administration, the corruption of the FBI and the CIA. And these are also after the revelations of Snowden and Julian Assange and the WikiLeaks Vault 7 revelations. And no one ever talks about this in the media. No one talks about any of the corruption. So I agree with you. This is all a big show. So I was really hoping that Trump would clean some of this garbage out. He did nothing. It seemed like he just got rolled over by the deep state when he wasn't hiring deep state people in his administration. I mean, hiring Bill Barr as Attorney General, hiring Anthony Fauci, putting him in charge of COVID when this is the man that helped finance it. So I don't buy it. I don't buy the whole Trump crusader, he's draining the swamp. I don't know what it is. I mean, they seem to persecute him like nobody's business. One of my personal theories was like he's Rodney Dangerfield in the movie Caddyshack. He's like the new money loudmouth guy that no one at the club likes. He's part of the club, but no one likes it. I don't know. Here, I'll turn it over to you. You can give me some of your impressions.
Yeah, do we go down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theories or
No,
what we just see?
Talk about the last election. Did you think the last election was fair, the 2020 election?
Listen, if you go by your eyes, what your eyes tell you, and then no, what my eyes tell me, because for the first time ever, the election was shut down, and the counting had to resume later. Like, when did something like that? When did something like that ever happen in the history, right? And all the shenanigans that was going on, people were videotaping stuff, people cheating, and then people were poo-pooing those things, and it just became like what's really going on? Why aren't we being honest about what's going on? And then there's the censorship. One side's trying to say the other side's cheating, and they're shutting them down, and it was going back and forth. And it's like what really happened? And no one's honest. Everybody's a big liar, and you're trying to discern between the lies. What's really happening. Running up to the election, every video that you saw, you see massive rallies with thousands of people, coming out for Trump, and then nobody coming out for Biden. No, like 10 people in an auditorium, and you're like, listen, if I just went by my eyes, there's no way that that this is even a contest. And then we saw it unfold, and something else happened. Biden gets quote unquote put in, and he's okay. You get the reins now. And what has he done with the reins? The reins have been nothing but anti-American first policy, and by that I mean stuff that just hurts the country. Nothing that helps build up the country, and squandering our resources, shutting off the pipelines of our resources, and all that stuff, and all the while lying and bragging on how good of a job he's doing, and really, totally contrary to that. There's nobody checking it, because all the reporting that we're getting is from the mainstream sources, and the mainstream sources, we know they're lying to us. And the independent guys are just being either poo-pooed or shut up. And so you're like, who am I really going to believe? I don't have the facts in front of me to make a informed decision.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most of America right now. They don't have facts in front of them to make an informed decision. And I think people are just, they're tired of it. They're just like, as long as the country keeps going and I'm functioning in my day-to-day life, then I don't really care. But I think it's becoming to a choke point for the middle to lower half of this country that have seen the value of their purchasing go down, the quality of their life be reduced. And so they might have a little bit more of a people. The guys at the top, I don't think they care so much. But when you really look at it, it's like there's a system of companies that are funding the politicians, who are passing things to keep the companies going, to keep funding the politicians. It is one big circle, right? As what's his name, George Carlin says, it's one big club and you ain't in it, right?
Yeah. So
You're not in that big club.
Right. So that's what I was going off with my comment. George Carlin's comment, it's a big club, you ain't in it. So my comment was that I do think Trump's in it, but he's like the loud, obnoxious guy in the club and no one likes him in the club. It's like, that's why he's
Right.
getting the fun. All right, so we're gonna watch one more clip to get a taste of the debate. I do also want at some point switch the conversation to Mashiach, like what's going to be the difference. I do think what we are seeing the fall of the American empire. And if you think about it, it's very interesting. I didn't load up clips today, but maybe we'll do this next time.
Yeah.
The fact that the president of the United States is constantly falling over, you can't have a better simon, a better sign from Shemayim, from heaven, that the American empire is falling. So I remember in high school, I was reading Joseph Heller's Catch-22, and there was this crazy idea in it that seemed so shocking at the time. And there was a young American soldier, and then I forgot who was talking to. I think he was talking to one of the Allied soldiers, and the Allied soldier he described he's like the fall of the American empire. So it's like, so we never think about America as an empire, but it really is. It's got military bases all around the world. It's the most powerful empire in the world. And then it will end. Everything else ended. Babylon ended, Persia ended, Greece ended. I mean, Rome, I think we're in the 10 phases of Rome. This is the final phase. But the idea that America is going to be this eternal empire, it's not. It's not. Eventually, Edom will fall and Edom will turn over power to Mashiach. We'll get to that soon.
Is it falling or is it being taken down?
Yeah, okay, but ultimately Hashem's directing it. So even if it's being taken down from inside, that's all part of Hashem's plan, All right, let's play this clip. Let's get a little taste of the debate from last night. It just got one little clip. Let's take a look at it.
I'm going to give you a minute, President Trump, for a follow-up question I have. After a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you said if reelected, you would, quote, have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about members of the Select Committee on January 6th going to jail. Your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation. My retribution is going to be success. But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon at a very high level. His son is convicted, going to be convicted probably numerous other times. Should have been convicted before, but his Justice Department let the statute of limitations lapse on the most important things. But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's done horrible things. All of the death caused at the border, telling the Ukrainian people that we're going to want $1 billion or you change the prosecutor. Otherwise, you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that, that's quid pro quo, that we're not going to do anything We're not going to give you $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor having to do with the son. This man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to
Okay,
subscribe
I
to
turned
Fox
this off
News
there.
YouTube.
All right, so that gives you a little taste, of what was going on last night. I almost loaded the one clip where they were arguing over who had the better golf game, where it got a little childish for a little bit. It seems like we we lost Rabbi Darvish. We'll see if we get him back. I don't know. So personally, right, I'm becoming a little disgusted with both parties. I don't like all the corruption. I don't like how it didn't seem like not only did Trump not clean up the corruption, like Trump makes this statement like, oh, Obama was spying on me. He was using the FBI and he's using the CIA to spy on me. But did they clean out the CIA or FBI? No. He just fired Comey, and I think they eventually fired McCabe, but why not just gut it? Why don't you see? And I think this is the difference. I think RFK is a man that believes through his, looking into it, that the CIA had some involvement in the assassination of his uncle and his father. That's a person that really wants to reform the CIA. I don't see Donald Trump as he didn't really reform anything. He didn't gut any administration. He's talking this big game about draining the swamp, but he didn't do any of that,
I don't think anybody cares.
Major League. And
I don't think anybody cares about that stuff.
I do.
They care about putting food on the table, buying what they need to buy, consumerism. And that's it. As long as the consumerism, as long as the music's going, everybody's fine. When the music stops, that everybody's worried about. So I don't really, that's why it's become like clown show. It's become like, who do you pick? This guy, that guy. I like his personality. I don't like his personality, because it's not a referendum on ideas. It's not a referendum on, qualities. It's just I like this guy and you don't like this guy. The right seems more to be talking about policies and whatever it is, but what do you judge a guy on? Like his handshaking abilities, his smiling abilities, like what? Give me something to judge them on. And we don't have anything like that. And it's become a joke. And anybody who doesn't see like the game that's being played here, it almost seems like as if doofusism, if that's a word,
the
right?
idiocracy,
is becoming the norm.
Mm-hmm.
It's becoming the norm. Like to be lackluster, to be not so good, to be a doofus, to be second rate. That's being normalized. Excellency is bad. Not being able to speak. Oh, that's good. And being handicapped, very good. There you go. They spoke about handicaps yesterday, right? And in a golf game, that's been, become that's the norm. That's the norm. Stupidity and irrelevancy.
Handicapping in golf. Handicapping in golf is just your score, how far over par you are, how many strokes over par you are.
Yeah, how far off you are, right?
Yeah.
These guys are way far. I mean, honestly, like, what has it be? What has politics become? It's like anybody could do the job. A robot could do it better than you. You know what I mean? An algorithm could do it better. That's what they showed us. They showed us like an algorithm thrown into a computer could do it better than they can. Like, they have no, one-upsmanship on a computer. And I think that's what the last 4 years have shown us. Like, it doesn't matter who's in there. Now, take aside that it seems like, the DNC has a bias to ruining this country, to making it like a more global type of a country, just like everybody else. Let's bring us down a bit and let's raise up the world a little bit, and then that's what we're all equal. We're all the same, right? I think that's what it seems like has been their agenda.
Right, that's handicapping in golf, so everyone can play competitively with each other. All right,
Hey, maybe that was the hint they were giving us.
So here's what I think's happening. This is how I think Hashem's setting up the chessboard. I think Hashem is showing us the complete emptiness and the, you know, just the emptiness of the leaders and the emptiness of the culture of the American empire to create a craving. So this is like the darkness before the sunrise, to create a craving in people for Mashiach. Like people are going to start to crave, like, you know what? I would really want to see a leader that's good. I want to see someone that's not taking bribes. I want to see a leader that's not, you know, being accused of sleeping with porn stars. I want to see a leader, you know, that has a loving marriage with children and just raising them with good values and talking about Hashem, bringing Hashem into the world, bringing God into the world, bringing the holiness of the Torah into the world, bringing good into the world. Not just like, oh, well, this guy is less, you know, horrible than this guy. This is not inspiring at all. This is a joke. This is like, it gets worse and worse with each cycle. It becomes lower and lower, and the quality, as you're saying, it goes down and down and down. It's an idiocracy. We're finally at the idiocracy. No, the reality casino owner, the reality star casino owner versus the career empty politician who just been bribed by every major foreign power we have right now. And
a politician versus another politician, even a good upstanding politician versus another good upstanding politician. Who cares? Like, what real world experience do they have to actually do the job other than smiling, shaking hands, making promises they don't keep? Like honestly, what does a politician do that makes him so uniquely qualified to do that job? You know, what to read a law and to sign a law? They don't read the laws anyway that they make, right? They pass tax laws that are 1,000 pages and they have to pass it in one night. They didn't read 1,000 pages in one night. Okay, if people don't see that, they don't get that. It's just ridiculous. It's a game. It's a game. It's all unbelievably a game that if you don't see through it, you'll never get it. And unfortunately, when you lose God, you put your faith in man. And I think that's what you were talking to, is that we've put our faith in man, and God is showing us, like, you should not do that. The results are gonna end in a crash.
And this is the crazy, right?
Crash.
Right. No, so right. I think what we're doing is everyone's dancing around the golden donkey. There's the worship of the Democratic Party. There's some that are dancing around the golden elephant, the worship of the Republican Party. There's some that are dancing around the golden Trump. Trump's a, easy golden idol. He's surrounded with gold. And then, maybe there's some out there, the golden Kennedy, the Kennedy dynasty, the anti-establishment, the real true anti-establishment guy. But I think the world's starting to crave the Melech, a real king, someone that actually cares about people, someone that just doesn't say and talk, but someone actually does. Said, like, the ideal in the Torah is Abraham Avinu, someone who says little but does much, someone who's a real man of action. Biden, I've never seen a person more, full of, like, I mean, the man's open up the border, and yet he'll sit there and lie to America's face and say, I've been the best president closing the border. Your whole policy was opening the thing up. He just lies and lies on top of lies,
I think this ties into, like, the Ten Commandments issue that we talked about. When you don't have a common core set of values, then everybody's got their own set of values and moralities and ethics. And so I basically divided you, and I can, like, march out in front of you, anybody. They'll lie to you. They'll steal from you. The ends justify the means. It doesn't matter what I do to get what I need to get, to make it to the end of the day. And that won't change. It won't change unless people turn to God. It won't change. It'll be a little bit more here, a little bit more there. Sometimes it's a tug of war between the right and the left,
Yeah. All right, so we're down to our last 10. So the only thing that can really unify the world is, like, what Mashiach's going to do. One thing that is going to be the unifying factor is, first thing, the Torah is the blueprint for all creation. Like it says, in the Midrash, I think it's Midrash Tanchuma, forgot exactly, but, like, Hashem looks into it may be Bereshis Rabbah. Hashem looks into the Torah, and then he creates the world. He creates the universe. And, like, that's the blueprint. That's the rules. That's the laws of the king. That's how Hashem, laid out the path of how we can come closer to him. So I think the difference of Mashiach is not someone that's in it for their own greed and, their own, chasing after their own taivas and desires, but someone that's really trying to uplift himself and trying to uplift his family and trying to uplift his people. and his nation, and then ultimately uplift the world. And we haven't seen that in a long time. We haven't seen really, like, I mean, like we've heard in America, like at least in American political landscape, there was people like, Martin Luther King Jr., there was Robert Kennedy, John Kennedy, and I think they were, look, I'm not saying that it's the Torah, they're secular politicians, but it was more inspiring. They were leaders that inspired people. But Mashiach has the different role of that he can actually lead people closer to Hashem. And when everyone sees that we're all the children of this one infinite being, then we're connected. Then we're not just 8 billion strangers. We're all connected. We're all children of Hashem. We're all created by this infinite being. And that's the unity. Hashem, the infinite being, the one infinite being, is the unity. And the less attached we are to Hashem, the more separate everyone is. That was the Dor Flaga, the Tower of Babel. They were all revolting against Hashem. They were unified and revolting against Hashem. But if the whole world's unified of coming close to Hashem, then we get to that real world peace. Then we get to the real shalom that the world's craving. That's all the
100%. Unification towards one, towards the one.
Towards the one.
That's until we get that, it's hopeless. It's only going to crash and burn even more.
I mean, I've said a lot today. I don't have much to say. If you got any final things you want to throw out there, that's fine.
No, just like, I think people deeply into things, beware, like, if someone, is it the snake that's trying to help me out, or is it God that's trying to help me out?
Yeah.
And beware the snakes that are out there. There are plenty of them, and what do they want? They want your money, they want your time, they want your focus, they want your energy, they want to suck you of your resources so you don't become godly. And what does God want? He wants to give you plenty of your resources, and in order that you employ them in the right way, and to be healthy and productive, for sure. 100%. So a person should learn to discern between the right and the left.
So I'll just leave it with this: the words of Indiana Jones, the movie Raiders of the Lost Ark. Snakes! I hate snakes. So give us all your comments. We want to hear. I'm sure people are going to come flying in with all kinds of political views from this way and that way. That's fine. Give us your comments. We'll agree, we won't agree. But yeah, we got to see, like, at the end of the day, it was like you were saying before, like everyone just wants their family to be fed, to have clothes, to be safe. And then if we get that step, then we can start to elevate ourselves even higher. Then we can, go after the spiritual pursuits. After the physical needs are met, then we can raise, we're the Tselem Elohim. We're created in the image of Hashem, the image of God, and we can do much more. We're not just an animal. We're a human being, and we can really elevate ourselves. All right, that's all I got. Any last remarks?
That's it. Let's let them have it. Make them subscribe, share, and like this video.
Okay, and see some more. I will be back soon. Want to hear from you, and have a great day. Good Shabbos.